lamerciepark.com. Reginald Hudlin indicates how this is the quintessential Black Panther image for him. This is artwork by Mark Teixeira. It's Bob Harris, editor-in-chief. And this is from the first trade paperback, collecting Christopher Priest's run, Volume 2 of Black Panther, issues 1 through 5. Teixeira's art is later followed up by Sal Velluto. And we've got the story by Christopher Priest that's backing up just his amazing artwork. It's a Joe Quesada right there, image. Here's more of Teixeira's artwork. The Marvel Knights imprint was started by Joe Quesada and Jimmy Palmiotti. They got contracted out by Marvel. This started in 1998, and it's what allowed Joe Quesada to become editor-in-chief. The Marvel Knights imprint brought him to be promoted. I think it was around 99, 2000. Quickly right after he started Marvel Knights, he became editor-in-chief. He had Dan Buckley running publishing and Bill Jamas as president. And that mini era, it's called NuMarvel. It's like an unofficial name to this renaissance that occurred. Companies like Fantagraphics were already going strong in the 90s, but by 2000, there was like this renaissance that was going on with Vertigo, with Wildstorm, with Marvel. Quality narrative, quality artwork, quality storytelling, writing, all of the above. More characterization-based story arcs that were bringing people like me who were collecting in the 80s. We dropped comics by the 90s, the early 90s. I stopped by 89, and this brought me back into comics. Stuff that was going on, like titles like Planetary and The Authority and Bendis's Daredevil, as well as Alias. This run at Black Panther. This is the type of stuff that for a brief period of time, they were taking off from where they left off. Comics sort of left off by the early 80s and started nursing that speculator bubble. And it took them 10 years to recover from that, 15 years to recover from just the crap they were pushing out from the mid-80s up until like 2000, when this NuMarvel mini renaissance started occurring. It was short-lived, lasted pretty much up until like Civil War came out, but there's an intro here, like I pointed out, Christopher J. Priest talking about his take on Black Panther. At lamerciepark.com, Christopher Priest takes off from that essay he wrote from 2001, 10 years later, at his official website of Christopher James Priest, Lamercie Park. He does give a link right here, what I forgot to mention. So he links back to that intro that I just showed you, that essay on him writing about his run on Black Panther. This first paragraph, I don't know if he's being too hard on himself. He's talking about throwing too much information for the reader. Talking about this kid Vibraxis and his backstory, a bunch of business with Lord Gar and the Eternals, and then he kind of writes whoever they were. The White Wolf, whom I like quite a bit, Chris says, was using Vibraxis to resurrect Claw. He refers to the White Wolf, who he has to then tell the backstory of, as the Panther's adopter brother, his reverse Flash, which I thought was an interesting reference. He goes on to say there were all of these side characters running around. There was so much plot. The brilliant Sal Velluto, who took over after Mark Teixeira. Sal Velluto's art was routinely suffocated by having been constricted to 6 panels on a page, which I covered with Ross's chattering. I couldn't read it. It was a mess. I flopped down on my sofa and thought, what the hell was I thinking? This is Christopher Priest. He's then followed up with this paragraph, which is really interesting. Gotta note it here. Comics have gotten simpler and in many ways dumber ever since. We no longer tell stories, but tell fragments of stories. Chris Priest goes on to say, a story we once told in an issue takes 3. Once doing a 2-part story required special permission. Now the request is for, quote, story arcs. Because not many of us can actually tell a story anymore. This is a frustrating way to write, to not be able to give the audience a story, but only a fraction of one part of the story, and then make them wait 4 weeks for the next piece. It would be different if we published weekly, say, a big block of paper with multiple serials running in it. But last time I paid any attention to this, the art form of writing had been all but wiped off the written page in favor of beautiful pictures. 22 pages of awesome graphics that move the plot along at a snail's pace. He does go on here to talk about working with editors Joe Quesada, Jimmy Palmiotti, and Nancy Dickezian. They steered him away from the Marvel Universe. The Marvel Universe did not exist in Marvel Knights Black Panther other than to mock it. These were not their words, but that was surely their sensibility. He said, Joe, Jimmy, Nancy were perfectly content to have Panther exist in the Pantherverse and not to be burdened with too many characters from the mainstream. In hindsight, they were right, he says. Then he talks about Axel Alonso bringing in Reginald Hudlin from BET to write with John Romita Jr. doing the art. I think that was around 2005. And it says here, Axel Alonso and Reginald Hudlin had to clear the decks of an unfathomable hairball of continuity. He goes on to indicate how he was slavishly reverent to past writers, Jack Kirby and McGregor. Don McGregor did Jungle Action. I think he started with Jungle Action number 5 that introduced Killmonger. He wanted to validate every inch of T'Challa's previous continuity. And he concludes, just paying respect to Reginald Hudlin. Axel and Reggie did what needed to be done and did so brilliantly, Chris states. He didn't go to comic shops. He'd been out of the loop. But for what he can tell, Panther has enjoyed several iterations beyond Hudlin's and has found more acceptance and popularity in the Marvel Universe than ever before. This is heartening, and I will take some credit, along with Stan and Don McGregor, for what part my creative contributions played. So that was 10 years after that intro at his blog here at lamerciepark.com. I'm curious if he's going to write another update next year in 2021. Priest is the first African-American writer and editor to work in the comic book industry. His groundbreaking Black Panther series was lauded by Entertainment Weekly and The Village Voice. Static Shock, which Priest co-created with Milestone Media, Inc., has become the first nationally syndicated African-American superhero animated series. And the first act of 2005's Batman Begins was largely based upon Priest's Batman comic book work. Pretty dope. Here's Christopher Priest looking like he's modeling for GQ or some shit. And here's a more modern image. This brilliant writer. So when you get a chance, please check out lamerciepark.com. So at lamerciepark.com, 10 years after his essay here, he's got an update from September 2011. I'm curious if 10 years after that, next year in 2021, hopefully he'll do another update on the Black Panther. That'd be really cool to see. The last vid I did was at Hall of Justice Comics and Collectibles from Parker, Colorado. Before that, I did a couple vids, one at Mutiny Information Cafe near downtown Denver, another one just north of downtown at Mile High Comics. So I went to a couple more shops after that. Like I said, that one vid I did was on Hall of Justice in Parker, Colorado is where I got that haul from. And then I went to Littleton, Colorado a few days before that last week at this shop called 5280 Comics. So I was trying to find some comics from that NuMarvel era. The thing about NuMarvel is you had an increase of quality narrative, characterization, art. But it was just after Marvel was coming out of bankruptcy, so they had low print runs of these comics that were turning things around, bringing people, old school people like myself, back into comics, bringing in new readers. Unfortunately, it only lasted from like 99 to 2000 up until, like I said, around the year 2003, give or take a year. And they got low print runs. So I got a couple of near mint copies of some Black Panther issues after Marx Texeira did the artwork. We got Sal Velluto taking over. This is issue number 27. A brilliant yellow background for issue number 30. Issue 27 came out, cover date is February 2001. Sal Velluto on pencils. Bob Allman doing the inks. And of course, Christopher Priest got this great story. This is from comics.org. The synopsis is Wakanda and deviant Lemuria hang on the brink of war. Panther negotiates with Doom and Namor. And T'Challa confines in Storm. Cover price is $2.50. I got this one and issue 30 here for $2.50 cover price. First Contact, Wakanda, 1941. Synopsis is Ross defends the Black Panther before the Senate Intelligence Committee. And then you also got backstory here, a flashback of the first meeting of Captain America with the Black Panther, who is T'Challa's father, T'Chaka. This backstory is involved with how Captain America obtains vibranium for his iconic shield. Captain America reveals that he had met T'Challa's father, and T'Challa lets him know that he already knew and tries to give Captain America's original shield back, but Captain America returns it to him just out of honor, friendship. It's a cool backstory, and that was May 2001. Cover price. Planetary, issue number 1. Planetary ran for a total of 27 issues. The first one came out here, cover date is April 2001. There was a preview issue that came out in September 98. And this was supposed to be a 24-issue bi-monthly series. It was put on hold from 2001 to 2003 due to illness from Warren Ellis and other commitments by John Cassidy, the illustrator. It's important to note, though, that most of the issues were colored by Laura Martin. The covers of Planetary are amazing. John Cassidy is doing the covers and the interiors, Warren Ellis doing the writing. Per Wikipedia.org, describing themselves as, quote, archaeologists of the impossible. Planetary is an organization intent on discovering the world's secret history. Funded by the mysterious Fourth Man, the field team consists of 3 superhuman beings. Chiquita Wagner, strong, fast, and almost invulnerable. The drummer can detect and manipulate information streams, such as computer data links and radio waves. And new recruit Elijah Snow can create intense cold and extract heat. So I got that for $8. Ran for 27 issues. Not to be confused with The Authority from DC's Wildstorm. And this ran for a total of 29 issues. Issues 13 and 14. Mark Millar is the writer, Frank Quitely's the artist, and they introduced this real evil, nasty, version of the Avengers with Frank Quitely's art. It were these two issues that were among the comics that got me back into reading, and most importantly, into spending money on comics. Cover price I got these for is $2.50 a piece. It is really difficult to get a near mint copy of Sin City, That Yellow Bastard, issue number 2. It takes place in Basin City, a fictional city created by Frank Miller, who did the inks, pencils, and story. It's a Frank Miller creation, printed out of Dark Horse Comics. I got this for a cover price, $2.99. A nice mint copy. Let me show you how difficult it is to get this. I got some dust on the cover. That is a really nice copy of Sin City, That Yellow Bastard, number dos. Came out in March 1996. It's the publication date. Another comic that is really hard to get in black is this historical landmark, as far as I'm concerned, for Sequential. This is from comicfind.gamespot.com. On April 11, 2003, grief turns to hope and resolve when Marvel and its international creative community pay tribute to the world's least heralded heroes, peacemakers. Called simply 411, this special anthology project will tell uplifting stories of people choosing to fight aggression with information and nonviolent resistance. It's a publishing initiative filled with true and fictional stories about everyday heroes who are trying to bring peace to their part of the world, featuring work of contributing artists and writers from Cleveland to Croatia, from Hollywood to Hong Kong. We've got writers including Pulitzer Prize and Tony Award-winning playwright Tony Kushner, nuclear activist and Nobel Peace Prize nominee Helen Caldecott, and political cartoonist David Rees, to name a few. There's an introduction provided by Dr. Arun Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi's grandson and co-founder of the M.K. Gandhi Institute for Nonviolence. If anybody knows why the third issue of this was not printed, please let me know. There were a lot of changes that were going on just post 2001's Patriot Act, post 9/11, where you had a bunch of stories like the Brotherhood or class war get ceased. And if anybody has any clue as to why the third issue for 411 did not get printed, please let me know. All right, moving right along. Then I got this beautiful copy, this really nice near mint newsstand copy of Incredible Hulk 316, cover date February 1986. And that is Pencils, Inks, and Stories by John Byrne. Synopsis: She-Hulk arrives at the hospital where her cousin Bruce is in a coma. She lets the doctors do an experimental treatment to have him snap out of it. Hulk destroys a New Mexico town, and 4 of the strongest Avengers show up to stop him. Doc Samson calls off the heroes as they agree to give him a little time to bring the Hulk all by himself. There's an awesome fight scene in here with Doc Samson versus the Hulk. John Byrne at his greatest. Got that for $1.99. All right, next I found is this beautiful John Byrne issue. I got it for $1.99. There were 3 printings of this. You got the direct edition. This is the newsstand, and then the Canadian variant is 95 cents. It has the barcode, but 95 cents Canadian. The artwork in this is John Byrne at his finest, at his greatest. The choreography of the fight scenes here with his artwork is amazing. You got appearance of She-Hulk in here, and she tries to have these doctors use some type of treatment on Banner while he's in this coma, and it ends up having the Hulk destroy New Mexico town while fighting these guys. John Byrne did the story, did the inks. Writer, artist extraordinaire. February 1986 is the cover date of that. Another $1.99 comic. Nice near mint direct edition of Magic, 4-issue limited series. And the year is 1984 when that came out. Pencils on the cover is Brett Blevins. Sal Buscema did the interior artwork with the script by Chris Claremont. Basically, Ilyana Rasputin, the sister of Colossus, she ends up, her powers end up taking her to this alternate dimension, Limbo. I think it's related to the same type of dimension that Nightcrawler pops in and out of when he teleports. Same thing with her. So she had been gone, and I believe it was just like a matter of moments, but for her, she was in this limbo dimension for years, and that's where she learned about and developed her magic. Switch back to John Byrne. This is John Byrne's first Fantastic Four comic. Fantastic Four, issue number 232. Cover date is July. The year is 1981. $4.99. I got that direct edition near mint copy for. $3.99 copy near mint of direct edition Fantastic Four, issue number 240. We got a beautiful John Byrne cover there with the Inhumans. Issue number 245. John Byrne continuing on with his greatness. That's August 1982. Cover date. I know that this one, it's a near mint copy. I'm going to open it anyway. This comic here, issue 245, is notorious for having double covers. Is it a double cover? No, it's not. It's just a single one. Okay. Now I say the cover looks near mint, right? But these pages are like white to off-white. So I'm curious, given the color of those pages, no marks, no stains or anything, but would that still be considered near mint? Oh no, can I put this in without damaging it? And followed up my Fantastic Four comics here that I found. It's a $1.99 copy of the Art Adams Fantastic Four, number 348. We got ourselves a newsstand here from 1991. Cover publication month is January. Art Adams did the cover. Art Adams cover, Walt Simonson doing the scripts. Second appearance of Angela, Spawn number 62. Todd McFarlane doing the story with Greg Capullo art. 1997, publication month, June. These are really hard to find in near mint. These Marvel Milestone Edition reprints of your classic comics from early days of Marvel. This one is from 1992. Stan Lee's story. Steve Ditko doing the interior. And that cover is by Jack Kirby of Amazing Fantasy 15, first appearance of Spider-Man. I got that copy for $9.99. This is from August 8th, 2012. A reprint of Casey Jones' first appearance, which was originally printed in 1985 from Mirage Studios. That would be Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird's original run on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. $12 I paid for this near mint copy. Now, would you call this near mint? We got a slight, so what is that, very fine plus? We got a slight color break right there and right there. A slight crack right there. So not near mint then, right? Because there's those spine ticks. So that would be what, VF plus? The dust here wipes off. It's pretty solid black. Straight up. Really nice, beautiful spine going on, sharp corners. So with these flaws right there, a slight one there, and a very slight color break there, would that be a very fine plus? Just if anybody knows, let me know what your opinion on that grading is. I agree with the channel ETA Nick. It's really important to learn grading. So if anybody has any feedback on that, let me know. $12 I paid for that IDW reprint from 1985. First appearance, Casey Jones. All right, let's talk about the last issue here of Adventure to Fear. Got that for $9.99. That came out in 1975, publication month, December. That cover is Gil Kane, inked by Dan Adkins. The interior pencils are by Frank Robbins, and the Mobius story, Frank Robbins' art, Bill Mantlo did the script. Star Wars number 44, direct edition from 1981. Publication month is February. Originally started in 1977. Star Wars ran for 107 issues. And this cover is by Al Williamson. Archie Goodwin did the story, and Al Williamson also did the interior art. This brilliant cover right here. Got that for $6. My previous vid, I showed you a direct edition copy that I found of this. The reason you knew it was direct edition, something sold to comic book shops. Direct edition are the comics that if you buy them, you can't mail them back and get a refund. With the barcode, you can. That's a newsstand. Early direct editions had a slash through the barcode instead of an image of, say, Spider-Man. All right, so this is from 1979. Bud Badansky did the artwork on the cover. Steve Lailoa did the inks on the cover. The script is by Ed Hannington, and the pencils by Jerry Bingham for the internal Black Panther story. Marvel Premiere. How many issues did Marvel Premiere run for here? Marvel Premiere ran for a total of 61 issues. Ended in 1981. This issue right here, number 52, came out in February of 1980. The previous cover was done by Al Milgrom, and the cover after this, issue 53, which is the third part, the final part for this Black Panther story at Marvel Premiere, that cover was done by Frank Miller. Got this issue here for $5.99. Issue 53, cover by Frank Miller. Also got that for $5.99. Concludes the Soul Strangler story. Brotherhood. This is the final issue of Brotherhood. This is another one of those NuMarvel comics. This one happened to got canceled because these were a bunch of mutants that consider themselves terrorists fighting against anyone that doesn't like mutants. And look, there's Dupe on the cover. Dupe's first appearance is X-Force 116 by Allred and Milligan. Check it out. Dupe's appearing on the cover of Brotherhood number 9. It's awesome. This came out in 2002. Cover date is for March 2002. Pencils are Sean Phillips, painted that cover. Script by Howard Mackey. It's originally noted as just X. Kept his name private. Pencils in this issue is Sean Phillips. And I got this for cover price, actually, $2.25. Brian K. Vaughan is the writer. Kyle Hotz, H-O-T-S, is the artist on this first appearance of The Hood. This came out July 2002. From comicfind.gamespot.com, they're describing the Hood here. Once a small-time crook, Parker Robbins found a mystical cloak and pair of boots that endowed him with supernatural abilities, allowing for his rise to power as a skilled sorcerer and feared crime lord. I also got this for cover price, $2.99. May 1st, 1978. The second issue of Machine Man. Some wonderful Jack Kirby artwork right there. He did the cover, he was the penciler and the writer. Got that for $9.99. Now, I know I featured this issue here in a previous vid I did a while ago. This is a much better copy that I got. Spider-Man, Storm, and Power Man in this one-shot battle smokescreen. It's an anti-smoking comic book. There were several iterations of this, several different printings basically. This is the second print that came out in 1992. The first printing is 1982, and you've got the first printing is 1982, and then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 printings following that. 1992, 94, 95, and 96 that used the same cover. Then you had the same story but with a different cover in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more printings of this. And those following 6 had the same cover. The latest one was in 2005. Giveaway comic. I love stuff like this, especially something promoting kids to not smoke. I smoke cigarettes. Don't smoke cigarettes, please. Got that for $1. All right, getting close to wrap this up. At that comic book shop, 5280. What else did I get? Von Bode. The second printing, it says here 75 cents. That's 50 cents for the first printing. Adults only. Number 1, January 1972. From independent, renowned comic book artist Von Bode. Thank you very much for watching. I was very psyched when I found this issue. 5280, great comic book shop, just like all the other ones in the Denver area. And to wrap it up, what else did I get? What else did I get? What else did I get? Well, I not only got this first printing of a Mouse Guard comic by David Peterson, July 2008, first printing, Mouse Guard Winter, ASP Comics LLC, published by Archaea Studios Press. Feast your eyes on some really beautiful sequential here. What else did I get? Let's get back to it. New Mutants. There have been several different printings. Just the Canadian one here. There's also, I think there's a J. Scott Campbell, or excuse me, no, it's a Adam Hughes cover. I think that's like the 4th or 5th printing of New Mutants. The date it hit the shelf is September 7th, 1982, from comics.org. Pencils by Bob McLeod. Script by none other than Chris Claremont. First appearance of Cannonball, first appearance of Wolvesbane, first appearance of Sunspot, first appearance of Psyche. That's her, Danielle Moonstar. I've always called her Danielle Moonstar. I've never used that name. Psyche. This is Karma. Her first appearance was actually in Marvel Team Up 100, covered by Frank Miller. Yeah, I spent a lot of money at that comic book shop, 5280. Alright, so I got a little white mark right there. No creases in the spine, sharp corners, really nice bright colors, solid. My fingerprints there. We got a corner bent a little bit right there. Some spots like right there. If I wipe, they're not coming off, but like there and there. But that's really it. A little spot right there. But once again, no breaks in the spine. Sharp corners. Yeah, we got a little bit of a dent action right there. So what condition is this? Very fine minus? Fine plus? Not sure, because the cover looks good. We got the dent there, a little nudge right there. Bumpa action, some very light spots there. One that was there, but I brushed it off, so... But yeah, a couple down here and some slight... See if you guys can look at the glare off that to get an idea. If anybody has any feedback on what you think the condition of this is, I mean, if I said very fine plus, then that wouldn't be here. That dent wouldn't be here. That would not, so you can't say very fine plus. Very fine minus, fine plus. I mean, fine plus, though, this would be in a lot worse shape, wouldn't it? More scratches all over the back. So is it safe to say very fine or very fine minus? Once again, if anybody has any feedback on that, please let me know. That's my haul from 5280 Comics. It is 2 in the afternoon, September 7th. I don't have any war comics to show off or anything like that, but I just wanted to say, for all the ladies and gentlemen, the first responders, our soldiers that putting their lives on the line for this flag. I just wanted to say thank you. God bless. Stay safe.